Hi, I'm Xtina, and this is How Am I Still Here? A new show about, I guess, death experience or potential death experience. You see, I love true crime. I listen to a lot of true crime, and never fails. Every time I'm listening to this story, I'm like, wow, I've been in a situation like this. Wow, I've been in a situation like this. How am I still here? So that's what gave me this idea. So basically, I'm going to have a guest, except for today. This is the beginning, so I'm your guest. I'm your host and your guest. You get all Xtina, all episode. So I'm going to tell you a few of my own stories, which, I don't have any major traumatic near-death experiences per se. But in hindsight, and as you get older, you realize things that you may have done in your youth were very dumb and could have, really been led to a horrible tragedy if, you were in the wrong hands per se. So I guess let's start with one night. I lived by myself. I was in the, city of Pittsburgh in a not so great neighborhood. I had a little Shih Tzu dog, taking her for a walk. We're walking around the block, not thinking about anything, just walking my dog, cleaning up her poop, doing my normal daily routine. And it's getting a little dark. It's not completely dark yet, but it's dusk. And I could feel like someone was behind me. And I could hear like some shuffling. And I'm like, I'm always kind of peeking around just to make sure. And I turn around and I see this guy. And it was a young guy, but he was probably in his 20s. And he just kept following me. And he was getting closer and getting closer. And then he was like, hey, can I come home with you? Can I come home with you? And I'm like, what? No. And, I just kept walking. And I'm like, who is this weirdo? And what does he want? And I'm like, surely if I turn, once I make my turn, he's not going to keep following me, right? Make my turn, walking my dog. And, little Shih Tzu dog, what's she going to do? I can't be like, sick him. He'll just laugh. So here we go. We're walking. I'm walking toward home. And he turns and he's still following me. And I'm like, well, what am I going to do? I'm like, I can't go home because obviously I don't want this guy to know where I live. Even if he doesn't do anything in this moment, he's going to know where I live. So I don't want him following me. So I just kept walking, and I walked right past the house I was renting and just kept on going and walked into the next neighborhood area. And I went to there was a main road. So I wanted to get up there where it was going to be busy. So, he would hopefully just go away. And eventually, thank God, he did. But I was still I was shaking. I was a little paranoid to go home. And I waited a little while, hesitated, and then I went back and finally, I went in my house. I'm, of course, looking around, making sure he's not hiding in a bush somewhere to jump out at me. And, I called a friend, and I was, pretty upset. I'm like, I don't know if you should come over. I don't know, what's going on. This guy was weirding me out. I was like, I don't even know if I should call the cops. I was like, it really freaked me out. So, luckily, nothing happened. Never saw the guy again in my life. But who knows? And I was really proud of myself that I had the wherewithal to think to just keep walking, don't stop, keep going. So that was, a blessing. There were times that I was living alone or maybe I lived with an ex-boyfriend or something and they were at work. And I remember this very specific time I was selling it's like a statue, but it looked kind of like a vase, but you couldn't put anything in it, and you just put things. It was very decorative, very nice, whatever. And not thinking anything of it, again, home alone, little Shih Tzu dog. I invite a couple of men coming on in my house. all alone. And, it was pretty obvious I was alone. And they started acting kind of strange. They were like, well, I don't know. And, like they were looking at the thing and they were generally interested in it. But then I don't know, I just kept getting weird vibes. You just get those weird vibes. And I was just like, okay, just buy this thing and get out of my house. And then they just kept talking to each other, and they were talking in a foreign language, which also made me uncomfortable because, like, okay, are they plotting, like, on how they're going to beat me and kill me and, throw me in the cellar? Like, what are we doing here? Like, please just give me this money and do this. I'm like, from this day on, I am never letting anybody in my house again when I'm alone. I am meeting somebody in public. I don't care how big the item is, or I will make sure somebody's here with me when I sell this item, because it could have been a disaster, really, if you think about it. I mean, you've heard of the Craigslist killer, right? Shit happens. Shit like this happens. And the thing that boggles the mind is how quickly it can happen. And, in a matter of minutes, like, you could make just one wrong move and poof, you're gone. Now, when I put out some feelers and was, mentioning the show on my personal Facebook page, and I have a lot of interest in people wanting to share stories, which is great. And someone reminded me of a story that happened to me, probably 20 years ago. And initially, I was thinking more along the lines of just telling these, like, what-if stories, right? But then I think other people have in mind of stories that actually did happen to them that were terrifying and that were, how am I still here? Because I fell off a cliff, or, something to that effect. And I'm like, wow, okay, I didn't think of it like that. So I feel like we'll do a little bit of both. You can have some, what-if stories, because they're valid too. I mean, shit can happen. So, but what did happen to me, and I guess I'm sure I'm forgetting something. Maybe I repressed a memory or something. If I was so traumatized, I don't know. But this is probably my only true, real brush with death, I guess. It was, it had to be 2000. So that's 22 years ago? It's unbelievable. I was just fresh off of a breakup. Didn't care much about life. Was trying to spend more time with friends. I am not an outdoorsy person at all. In fact, I generally hate the outdoors. So my friend suggested, let's go whitewater rafting. I'm like, oh, that'll be great, because if I die, I don't really care. Like, I had no will to live at this point, so I was like, sure, whatever. So I did it, took a chance, and I will never do it again. And it was quite terrifying. And the irony is, I think 2 weeks before I went on this particular, path area up in Ohio Powell in Pennsylvania, somebody did just get killed in this particular location. So that's real comforting, right? So we go, and, nervous as heck. I mean, we're all nervous because we're young, dumb people, really, and, doing something terrifying. So we get in this raft and we're going along, and sure, it's kind of fun for a little bit, but then it gets pretty stressful pretty fast. You have an oar, you don't know which way you're supposed to paddle. I mean, they give you some sort of 5-minute training, here's what you do, and yeah, okay, sure, we got you. And they have, I guess, helpers, but they weren't in the raft with you, which is what I kind of thought there would be. But no, it's just a bunch of us dumb 20-something-year-old girls. So that was great. And paddling, and you can see in this video just the stress in all of our faces. They videoed it. There was a guy, a crazy man, as you will see here shortly, because lucky for you, we have a clip. I took a video of a VCR tape several years ago, and so that I could have this for moments like this, because you never know when you need your whitewater rafting experience, right? But this nutball, he went around in a kayak and he videotaped everybody's experience on this whitewater rafting trail, which is unbelievable bonkers. And so, you know the risks, you could potentially fall out. Okay, fine. So we're going down, we're going around, and I can just feel it's coming. I lose my oar. I'm oarless. The boat's going, and the next thing you know, we hit a bump. And I mean, this has been, what, 22 years ago? I can still vividly remember feeling the bump, and I'm like, I'm going out. And the next thing you know, I'm out in this water. And as you know, I mean, these waves are crashing. They're crashing. So, like, so my friends are trying to pull me up, and I'm like, and every time I'm trying to catch my breath and get up, a wave comes over me, and it's just like, I'm like, I'm going to drown. This is how I'm going to die. How nice. I guess I am getting my death wish, right? So they finally pull me up. They're getting me up. It's really great. All of a sudden, here comes another raft. Boom! Flies right over me. Knocks me right back down again. And for your viewing pleasure, it is humorous. In hindsight, I'm here to tell you the story. You are allowed to now laugh because it is very humorous. So enjoy the video. I'll be back with you in a second.
Yes, I got it. All right, they're going to do the back pedal. They're doing the back pedal, and they're coming over. And she's saying, what are you guys doing? Okay, and they're looking back here. They're saying, right back here. And there they go. They're over. Smooth. That was smooth. They did out. Oh, they're caught in the hole. Oh, this could be terrible. Hold on, girls. Paddle. Oh, my heavens. Look out. They're caught in that hole. Paddle out. Oh, my heavens. Here comes the boat in behind them. The second boat is going to knock them out. Oh, everything's happening here at the old railroad today. It's usually pretty. Look at this backwards. They show no. Oh, she almost went. She didn't go. Somebody's in the water, our friend. Oh, my heavens. Give her the wedgie. There's the big one. All right, kick your feet. Oh, they just ran over her backside. Those guys right there. What a great move that was.
Okay, folks, how'd you like that? Was that highly entertaining? That guy's a nut. I'm sure he's gone by now because he was probably 70 when this happened. So he's a nut, but he does this. That's his job. Can you imagine that being your job, videotaping a bunch of whitewater rafters and how he doesn't fall out or gets all this video footage? It's unbelievable to me. So that was my probably most serious, dangerous death experience. Now, you know, there's always something, and of course, you know, my memory's not great. So I was going through my memory and trying to think of all these stupid things, you know, that I've done in life. And of course, not proud of this, but, you know, there was many a night of boozing and drinking and oftentimes drunk driving. And there were times that I drove home and don't remember how I got home. And that's terrifying. And it is amazing to look back and think, how am I still here? How is this possible? You know, with all these, you're always one dumb decision away from probably death, I would imagine, right? Aren't we, for the most part? I was not drunk. And sometimes that makes me go, wow. But a friend of mine and I were out yard sailing. And in a cute little town, super safe little town, fancy sort of semi-rich town, and we're yard sailing, we're having a fine time, and there's this guy riding a bike around, and we end up like talking to him at one of the houses we're selling out. He was a young kid. I mean, it's probably in my 30s. This guy's probably, I call him a kid, he was probably like 22-ish, we'll say. So he was young, but not like a little kid. Seemed nice enough, you know, we're talking to him, and he found something. I think it was a wheelbarrow. And he's like, I really need this wheelbarrow. But how am I going to take it home? He lived like 8 miles away, maybe not quite 8 miles, 5 miles away. And he's like, I don't have a way to get this home. And, you know, and nice girl that I am, guess what? Well, I'll take it home for you. Come on, let's go. We'll go for a ride. He's like, okay, come on, girls. So we willingly invite this stranger into our vehicle with his wheelbarrow that he found at the yard sale, because you can't pass up a deal, and I don't want to let somebody else miss out on a great deal, right? I mean, why would I do that to somebody? So, needless to say, we get in the car, and we head to said house. And the kid still lives with his mother, so now I'm really less intimidated. I'm like, he lives with his mother, who cares, right? But then didn't get too weird, but it got a little weird, because he's like, do you guys want to come in? You want to come in and meet my mom? No, we don't want to come in and meet your mom, buddy. We really don't. We're just doing you a little favor here, but we're good. We don't need to meet mom. And maybe mom wasn't there. We don't know. We didn't really actually go in and see. So maybe that was the trick, and maybe that was the ploy. And again, we had some sort of brain power that told us, danger, danger, don't do it. So the funny part of the story, so we had to actually get back in the car and take this kid back to his bike, because he had to leave the bike back at the yard sale so that to get the wheelbarrow home. I don't know. Maybe we put the bike in the car too. I don't remember. Things that I blocked out of my memories. But again, things that I shouldn't have done. How did I know that wasn't a serial killer? How did I know that wasn't a ploy to get me to his house? We don't know. And it very well could have been. And what a great ploy it would have been, because we would have been such great victims. So cooperative. Yeah, so don't be stupid. You know, and I mean, I probably have many more stories like this. Just to give you one more, and I think, you know, I have a lot of interest, so I have a lot of people messaging me and saying, hey, you know, I have a story, I'll tell it. So we'll do these over Zoom. I'll do like a Zoom interview. I mean, if you're in my town and you want to come over, sure, what the hell, we'll shoot the shit in the house. But if you want to do this, you can either leave a comment below and put your email there. We'll get in touch with you that way. If you are friends with me on Facebook, you can DM me, PM me, whatever the crazy kids call it these days. We'll get something going, and I'll have to start scheduling like a calendar, because it seems to be a lot of interest, and everybody has a story, right? I mean, we've all done dumb stuff, or we've all been in, a lot of people have been in way worse situations. You know, I'm sure, you know, I have friends who work at airports and might have got almost sucked up by an airplane engine. Who knows, you know, but stuff like that. And it can be extreme to that extent, or just some examples like I gave. Like, for instance, too, you know, I used to sing in a band, and, you know, I went to auditions with, of course, predominantly men. And, you know, you put yourself in a position to go into, luckily these guys turned out to be pretty nice guys, right? But, you know, you go, I get the, come meet us down at our practice space. Okay, where's your practice space? Well, it's in these little storage unit things that are all soundproofed, and they're down under this bridge in a not so great section of town. I'll be there. I'll absolutely be there. Sign me up. I'm there. Again, dumb. But I'm here. How am I still here? Don't know, but I am. You know, it all turned out to be good, but how great would that be, too, if you think like a killer? You go to a seedy part of town in a storage unit that is completely soundproof. I guess it's not completely. You could clearly hear bands in other rooms, but the walls were all padded, and I mean, I'm sure if they duct taped you and stuff, you'd be a little quieter, but you might hear someone screaming here and there. But again, you wouldn't think anything of it, because you're in a band space where everybody's screaming. Ah! Yeah, like that's a great song, right? So I don't know. But again, how am I here? Not real sure. But I am. And I'm here to tell you these great stories in hopes that either A, maybe I'll save your life. Maybe I'll make you think twice. Maybe, you know, you'll come on my show and tell me your crazy story, because we know we've all got them. So I think that about sums it up for this episode, guys. I mean, I hope you're interested. I hope this was somewhat entertaining to you. I'm really looking forward to this, because I think it could be a whole lot of fun. Maybe we can laugh at these past near-death experiences. Maybe we'll cry. Maybe, you know, you'll get something out of it, hopefully. Who knows? But we're here to have fun, and I hope that's what we're going to do. So until next time, folks, stay safe and don't do dumb shit.